It is extremely rare these days that I ever experience joy during my waking life. I can cope, and I do cope with movies or video games or maybe even reading a book every now and then, but it doesn't really give me joy. It just helps take my mind off of reality for a few minutes. And when I think about it, I might as well just sleep instead of trying to cope with video games or whatever, because at least in my sleep, I sometimes will have a good dream. That's better than I get from most of my copes. Just this morning, I had one of those dreams where after I woke up, I just laid there and tried to go back to sleep. I was trying to jump back into the same dream, but it didn't work. Then I had to wake up and start the day. And immediately it was just like, when I woke up, it was like, well, damn, that wasn't real. This is my life. And I also, because in the dream I was younger, I was back in high school. So soon as I woke up, I had one of those moments where I realized, oh, damn, I'm 37 years old. I have quite possibly lived half my life already, maybe more than half. And the next half is probably going to be even worse than the first. That's the actual future I have to look forward to. Plus, I have pretty bad health anxiety these days. I just saw how a friend of my parents, just passed away recently. Not even 60 years old. He'd got some kind of cancer. Apparently, he had no symptoms at all until all of a sudden something happened where he had to get rushed to the ER. They did some tests, found out he had cancer, and that was that. I think he lived for another 2 months after that. It was that quick. From no symptoms at all to, you know, and this was a guy that lived a fairly healthy lifestyle. He didn't smoke. He drank, but, not a lot. I don't think he was an alcoholic or anything. He lived a fairly healthy lifestyle. But I don't really want to keep talking about that. I try not to think about it, but that's just one of the things that makes the experience of being awake in this world so barely tolerable for me. Just the fact that my best days are behind me. I don't know how long I got left. And yeah, I'm scared. Every fucking day, I'm scared. Realistically, I probably got a good while to go. A lot could happen, so who knows? Maybe I'll meet a woman and we'll fall in love and we'll start a life together and we'll live happily ever after. But I really doubt that. But the dream I had last night, I dreamed I was back in high school. And at first, it was one of those dreams where I couldn't remember my locker combination. Then I couldn't even remember what class I was supposed to go to next, which is a genre of dream I have fairly often. Sometimes I'm in high school, sometimes it's college, and it'll be like I suddenly remember that I had totally forgot about one of my classes all semester, and now there's an exam I'm not prepared for, or, I can't find my classroom, that kind of thing. I think most people have that kind of dream sometimes, but it's very anxiety inducing. So it was a dream like that, which isn't good. It's not really a nightmare, but it's not a good dream. So usually those dreams suck. But this time, I was feeling all anxious about not being able to make it to class on time. But then, as I was wandering aimlessly through the hallways, a girl approached me. It was the girl from the grocery store that smiled at me the other day. In real life, I made a video about it. A girl that works at the grocery store smiled at me and she said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And it was probably the most intimate moment I've had with a female in a long time. Like, I fell in love on the spot. But, anyways, it was her in my dream that usually just would have been full of anxiety. But that girl came up to me in the hallways and she was like, "Oh, are you lost?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't remember what my next class is." Then she says, "Then don't go to class. Do you want to skip school with me?" And so then me and her just walked out the door and we got in a car together and drove off. You know how dreams are kind of like slideshows where one thing will be happening and then the next second it's something else? Well, me and this girl started dating, and I dreamed about us being in class together, just talking and laughing. And I dreamed about becoming friends with all her friends. So not only did I have a girlfriend, I had a whole social circle. And it was just like, it was everything I've ever wanted. And it all started with one of those nerve wracking, oh shit, I'm going to be late. I don't know what to do kind of dreams. Then it turned into my fantasy life. Then I woke up and I'm not a teenager with my first girlfriend having a good time in class, hanging out with all my friends with a bright future ahead of me. That's not the life I'm actually living. I'm a 37-year-old bald loser with a head shaped like a frickin' peanut. And I have nothing to look forward to except for the next time I get to go to sleep. And maybe, if luck's on my side, I can have another dream just like that one. But probably not, because most dreams are just boring, and I forget them as soon as I wake up. But even so, even a dream like the way my dream was last night before it got good, where I'm just feeling anxious and worried the whole time, even that is better than my reality. Because, yeah, it's very nerve wracking, and I'll be worrying about failing a test or getting into trouble or something, but it's very low stakes. I have just as much anxiety in my real life, but the stakes are a lot higher. You know, in real life, I'm worried about dying, or I'm worried about my parents dying. I'm worried about making it to my 60s or older and not having any money saved up and no income. And then what the hell do I do? That might be my reality someday. Probably more likely than not. I don't have kids to help me out when I get older. Maybe my little cousin will remember how I looked after him and he'll help me out when I'm older, but maybe he won't. Or maybe he just won't be able to. And I wouldn't want to ask that of him anyways. That's not his responsibility. By the way, that's one reason I don't think I'll ever stop living with one of my parents or the other as long as they're alive, because I don't want to be alone in my old age. So I'm not going to do that to them because I can't help them financially. All I can do is be there to call an ambulance when something goes down. And listen, I'm middle aged now, or close to it. I don't know what is technically supposed to be considered the cutoff for middle age, but I'm definitely close. When I was in my 20s, it didn't bother me to think about health problems in old age. It didn't bother me to think about death because it felt like that's just so far in the future. You know, it just didn't seem real. Well, now it seems real. It seems very real, like it's right around the corner. Okay, no matter which way you slice it, at 37 years old, I'm about halfway there. So imagine I live another 37 years. Okay, that is a long time, I guess, but I don't know. When I look back over my life, it doesn't feel like it took too long to get here, especially as I'm getting older. The relative feeling of how fast time's passing is just getting way faster. The last 10 years, aged 27 to 37, feels about the same length of time as it took me to get from like age 20 to 23. It's every day, I swear to God, I can't not think about this. Time will not stop. I will die, and if I live long enough, I'll have to witness everyone else in my family expiring before me. But seriously, I have to stop thinking about it because that just makes it worse. But I really can't stop thinking about it. The only respite I get is when I'm asleep. When I'm on the verge of slumber, it's like in Resident Evil 4 when you start hearing the typewriter music so you know you're safe. Or it's like when you find a new bonfire in Dark Souls. It's the only time my anxiety can rest. It's the only time I can stop dwelling on the ever progressing march of death we're all on. I wish I was 25 years old again, just feeling anxiety about never finding love. That seems so insignificant thinking about it now. Because now I still have that anxiety, so I'm still living that hell on earth. But now I'm also constantly worrying about the fact that Honestly, I have to stop talking about it. Uh, I'm actually gonna pause my mic real quick. Okay, I think I've calmed down now. I was feeling like I might have a panic attack, but yeah, I can keep going. I'm just not gonna talk about the passage of time. I usually do try to keep my videos entertaining. I usually try to crack some jokes here and there and keep it mostly lighthearted. Obviously, I do focus on some kind of dark topics sometimes, but I think I usually try to present things in a humorous way. I'm just, I can't do it today. I'm sorry. I got to figure something out because it's getting really bad lately. Like, I really can't stop thinking about it. And sleep really is the only time I'm able to reliably put those dark thoughts out of my mind. I do have a couple of copes that help. I go on bike rides when I can, and that does sometimes get my mind off it. And I think the bike rides are also good because it also makes me feel like I'm doing something healthy that should theoretically extend my life. And more importantly, it should make my quality of life better in my elder years because it should help keep me more physically fit as long as I keep up with it. So that's a good cope. But, I can't ride my bike all day, every day. I can't even ride really more than 30 minutes to an hour at a time because nowadays I usually have to take my baby cousin with me. It's just me and him here during the day, most days. I have a special seat for him that attaches in front of my seat, like between me and the handlebars. But he usually doesn't want to go for longer than about an hour, or he'll start to fall asleep, which means I have to go home because the seat I have is not safe for him to sleep in. But yeah, cycling is a good cope for the health anxiety. Of course, it's a double edged sword because it's cursed in other ways. Because when I go to the trail I usually ride on, there's never not attractive women there. Maybe they're walking their dog or just going for a jog or walking with their husband or their boyfriend, even during regular work hours during the week. I mean, I guess most of these women are stay at home wives, but it's depressing seeing that, being reminded of what I know I'll never have. Just the other day, there was two women walking on the path wearing sundresses, and one of them was like melons, like just bouncing with every step. You couldn't not look at her. And I'm pretty sure she noticed me staring because she gave me a dirty look, which that didn't feel good. But, she knows damn well what she was wearing. She put that dress on and she chose to leave her house looking like that. So I don't know why she'd be surprised that a man was looking at her. But yeah, I made a video before about how seeing attractive women makes me depressed, and that's still true. I'm probably going to get clowned on for this, but I get depressed sometimes when I'm making my thumbnails, when I have to put some cute doomer girl Wojak or a trad wife on there. That makes me depressed. Just seeing an illustration of an attractive woman, that depresses me. And not even a realistic illustration either. Just an AI generated doomer girl. I'm that starved for affection that gets to me. After I quit my engineering job about 7 years ago, up till recently, since my cousin was born, I used to just try to literally just sleep all day sometimes just because I couldn't bear to face reality. I would literally stay in the bed for 24 hours at a time, only getting up to go to the bathroom. Even now, some days, it's pretty rare now because the only days I can sleep in is if my mom or my aunt is here to watch my cousin because otherwise I have to be awake for him. But on those days, I will sometimes just stay in bed and try to sleep, even if I already got plenty of sleep. There's been times where I could not possibly sleep anymore. Like I was just fully rested on 12 hours of sleep, but I still didn't want to stop trying to go back to sleep because the alternative is this bullshit reality where I'm literally the biggest loser most people have ever met. Truthfully, most people I know have never met anyone else that's as big a loser as I am. That's how bad it is. I almost wish I knew somebody that was more of a fuck up so I could at least think about that person and think, like, well, at least I'm not that bad. But nope, I'm the guy that other losers think about to feel better about their own lives. And also, life is boring. That's why I make so many videos, or that's probably the main reason, just that I'll be sitting there anytime I have some free time and there's literally nothing I feel like doing. I'm just bored and nothing sounds interesting. Sometimes I might open up my Steam library or look on Netflix or something, but usually when I do that, nothing sparks my interest. So I just end up working on videos or thumbnails instead because that's also boring, but at least it might make me a few bucks. And it'll be something people can comment on, and then I can read and reply to those comments. So that's something. But it's just so boring, life on this planet. Maybe a boring life is better than most alternatives. You know, it's probably not boring to live somewhere where there's a war going on, but obviously I'd rather be bored than have to worry about dodging bombs all day. But regular life is just boring. That's why people do things like jumping out of planes or doing a wheelie at 90 miles per hour down the freeway on a motorcycle, or just doing drugs. And probably most serious crimes too, like doing an armed robbery on a convenience store. People do that shit because they're bored. Life is so boring, people would rather risk dying or getting locked up for the rest of their life rather than just live through another boring regular day. And honestly, I don't think it's that crazy. I kinda understand it, because not everyone lives a life of luxury. Not everyone has the opportunity to go travel the world or go experience different five-star restaurants or whatever. That's just not in the cards for most of us. I wish I could just pull out my phone and message a random woman any time of day to get some excitement, but obviously that kind of relief from this miserable existence is only reserved for the very tippy top of the upper echelon of men. For most of us, boredom is just what life is, and we just have to find ways to cope with that. It's a lot easier when you're a kid. I used to be able to just play JRPGs for hours on end. I played through Suikoden 2 probably 10 times before I even became a teenager, and that never got boring. But I think I'd probably get bored with it now just as soon as I turned it on. It's like even a brand new video game never entertains me anymore. Even if theoretically there was a new game that didn't suck, nothing's new to me anymore. There's no novel experience. Everything is formulaic. Every single piece of media draws inspiration from something else, whether that's literature, movies, video games, whatever. Like once you've seen a few dozen movies, any other movies you watch are a lot less entertaining because it's just predictable. They all use the same tropes. It's all just the same. And it's boring. There's no excitement for me anymore being conscious in this world. And whenever I'm not bored, it's never the good kind of excitement. At best, maybe I'll get a little dopamine rush whenever one of my videos performs well, but that doesn't last long. So sleeping is, it's not actually a healthy way to cope, but I'd be lying if I said I'd rather be awake than be asleep and dreaming. Especially on the rare occasion I get a dream like last night where I get to experience a sliver of what it might be like to actually be loved and actually have friends and everything. It's sad, but it really is only in my dreams that it is possible for me to experience a good life, a life worth living. Reality is always either miserable, brutal, or it's just boring. Maybe all three at the same time sometimes. It sucks. But this is all there is, as far as I know. I mean, there could be an afterlife. I wish I believed in that, honestly, but I don't. It could be true, who knows? But this might be all there is. This might be the one life I get to live. Lucky me, I guess. Whatever, I'm going to bed. If you resonate with anything I've said in this video or you just found it entertaining, please watch some of my other videos. There's also some secret videos you can watch for free on my Patreon, so check that out. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.